If you're watching this, you built over $1 million in investable assets. And that means you've done some things right. You've worked hard, you've saved, you've invested. That puts you in the top 2% of adults in the United States. So you've done some great things. What I will tell you is net worth does not equal retirement security. So I've worked with hundreds of high net worth individuals over the years. And once we start to model in taxes and healthcare expenses and distributions and other obligations, the cracks start to appear. I have a question for you. How ready are you for your portfolio to generate a paycheck for you to maintain your lifestyle in retirement? This is a niche area that I specialize in, and there's a lot of planning involved to get this right. That's because assets are not income. You may have a beautiful house that has contributed to your high net worth, but you can't turn that into a distribution to live on in retirement. And that 401k that you built up to $1 million, $2 million hasn't even been taxed yet. So if you have $1 million in a 401k, when you look at it, you should actually see $700,000 because you haven't paid the taxes yet. Here's the question pre-retirees need to answer. If you stop working tomorrow, where would your first paycheck come from? I typically think in 3 buckets. So the first bucket would be guaranteed sources of income. So that would be things like pensions, annuities, Social Security. Next would be investment income like dividend payments or bond interest payments. And then third would be market withdrawals. Now, that third bucket, we want to be very strategic around when and how we pull assets so that we're able to set ourselves up for long-term success from your portfolio. And one area that always surprises new retirees, taxes do not necessarily go down in retirement because once you start stacking required distributions, capital gains taxes, Social Security payments and taxes, Medicare surcharges, it really starts to balloon on many retirees. So we need to not only consider what the tax implications are this year and next year, but we need to look decades into the future so that we can optimize a tax managed strategy for you over a number of years. And then there's something called sequence of return risk. So you could have 2 retirees that both retire at 60 and they live to 90 and have the same average rate of return per year over that 30-year period. But one person, because of when the returns happen, could have a very different retirement experience than the other person. So say, for example, with the first person, if the market goes down right away, but they're pulling money from the portfolio while the market's down, that could adversely impact those assets for the rest of their life. Now, for the other person, if the market is flat or up, when they first start to pull assets out to live on, they could have a very different experience over their lifetime because of this sequence of return. So we need to plan for that. It's a huge risk for retirees, but we need to have a game plan for how to handle and manage that sequence of return risk in retirement. It's very important. Now, the final piece that we need to think about is an identity shift. So many people have been defined by their career or business that they run. So when you start to live on these assets, you no longer have that to define you. Who are you? What are you retiring to versus what you're retiring from? So a lot of the planning that we do really talks to people around what do you want this next phase of your life to look like? I call it phase 2. I don't like to use the term retirement so much because you're reinventing yourself basically, and you're taking ownership of your time and you have freedom to do the things that you want to do. You want to be intentional, impactful around your legacy, your generosity, your travel, and how you spend your time, which is your most valuable asset because we can always make more money, but we can't get back our time. So let's be clear. A portfolio of $1 million, $2 million, $3 million plus dollars is great. You've set yourself up to be in a strong position, but paper wealth without a strategy can lead to a disconnected retirement, disappointment, and compromises in your lifestyle. So we need to have a plan. If you're within 5 years of retirement, now is the time to optimize your full retirement strategy because we still have some runway. We can pull some levers and course correct if necessary. If you want to know whether you're truly retirement ready, you do not want to guess, you want to be sure. This is not a hope kind of situation. We need to figure this out, map out a game plan and put pen to paper and have some tangible things that we can rely upon when you retire. You can set up a free one-on-one retirement strategy session with me. I'm happy to go through the numbers with you. We can talk about what your goals are and make sure that you're in alignment with where you want to be when you retire. Let's turn paper wealth into peace of mind. We can set a time to chat. Go through your numbers, make sure you're where you want to be, and that your retirement is intentional and looks like the plan that you want to have implemented for the rest of your life. This is Antwone Harris with Platinum Bridge Wealth Strategies. I'll talk to you soon.